student of Kingmakers Academy. I am very much thankful to Mr. Bhuminathan sir, the director of Kingmakers Academy. Full and full support பண்ணது Kingmakers Academy. ஆளுங்க நான் என்ன ப்ளூ பிரிண்ட் போட்டு கொடுத்து படின்னு சொன்னாரோ அதுதான் நான் 6th கிளாஸ்லாம் Prakash sir and all the teachers and faculties of Thank You Kingmakers Academy. இந்த அட்டெம்ப்ட்டுக்கு ஃபுல் அண்ட் ஃபுல் கைட் பண்ணது ஆளுங்க. அப்புறம் சிந்து மேம்.
Good evening, Vasumathi. How are you?
Fine, sir.
So I understand from your DAF you are from Tirunelveli?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So which part of Tirunelveli district you belong to?
Palayamkottai, sir.
Okay. Can you just tell me some of the prominent features of your district?
Prominent features, we have a temple nearby. That is a very popular place near my house. And the name of the temple is Nelepa Temple. And prominent places and landforms we have nearby Kalakkadu Mundandirai forest we have, and that is a sanctuary. And recently Kuttankulam bird sanctuary has been declared as a Ramsar site. And we have a Tamirabharani river. So all these things are
Prominent features, you are mentioning about physical things. The other prominent features in terms of the personalities there, its relevance to freedom struggle, historical importance and all that.
Bharatiyar was born in Ettayapuram, and other freedom fighters in the sense, I'm not sure very particularly from Palayamkottai, I don't know. Or if very back if we go, we have Veerapandiya Kattabomman, and Palayakara's revolt was organized in our district. So all these things are historical relevance of our districts.
Okay. So you are basically an engineer?
Yes, sir.
So you passed out of from which institute?
From Wade Tech College and from Anna University. It's comes under Anna University.
Okay, so you had done your electrical and electronics engineering, and still you had opted for geography. Is there any specific reason from your deviation from your academic discipline to choosing this option, which is unrelated to your academic discipline?
So after my 10th standard, I was not in a field where geography comes in a subject. So when I was researching about the optional for UPSC preparation, so my idea of geography was very small, like only up to physical geography. So that idea was very vast as a geography optional, like relating environment, human, physical aspect, everything. So I just thought of giving the geography as an option.
Okay, and you can also add geography plays a predominant role in the general studies part of the
Yes, sir.
mains examination. So it will be a dual advantage if you choose geography, because it will, number one, serve your optional interest, and number two, will serve your general studies interest as well. Okay. So you are basically an electrical engineer.
Yes, sir.
And are you aware of a latest sensational development in terms of power generation called the bloom energy?
Bloom energy, no sir.
Bloom energy is, a new kind of power generation technology that was promoted by a person, an Indian who is settled with in the United States of America. He was working with the NASA, and once he came out of NASA, he re-engineered his ideas and so many things. And with the aid of natural gas, he has started producing electricity. There is a groundbreaking technology, and it has been implemented in many parts of the many parts of the United States, and it is gaining prominence across. In India also, it is headquartered in Bangalore. Bloom Energy is in a very new, because electrical engineering is an area where you will not be finding inventions and discoveries on a day-to-day basis. It is unlike computer science engineering or electronics, which is a very stable area of engineering where generation, transmission, and distribution are almost like constants. These constants do not vary because they are constants. And generation, the induction technology of power generation is going to be constant. Nobody can find out a new method of induction technology unless some kind of startlingly original things like this come up. So this is something which you should concentrate on and just learn, and that would be helping you in a big way. Okay. So coming back to your electrical thing, power scenario of our country has developed a lot over time. What is the overall power demand of our country in India?
I'm not sure about the factual terms right now, sir. But being a developed country, it's pretty much high right now. Other than that, I don't know about the factual information.
Maybe 125 gigawatts. You must be knowing about gigawatts.
Yes, sir.
What is a gigawatt?
It's a unit which measures power.
No. 1,000 kilowatts is called as a megawatt. 1,000 megawatt is called as a gigawatt. So gigawatt is a measure of higher levels of energy. According to the latest statistics, in our country, the overall demand is around 125 gigawatts, and there is something called an overall demand and an overall generation capacity. The overall generation capacity should be more than the overall demand, basically. If the demand is more and if the supply is less, there will be problems of low voltage and power shutdowns and so many other things. So there will always be a balance between the generation and the consumption. So you take into account the overall situation of this country and the overall situation of Tamil Nadu, and you do a comparison. And there are many states where the power scenario is not that much good. You must be aware of that yourself. The lesser progressive states in the northern parts of our country are still facing power outages in a big way, excepting for the state headquarters, where they share the load in such a way that most of the power generated goes towards the state headquarters, etc. So you just go through this, because power is a very important area where you should unless the country concentrates on that, we cannot have progressive developments. You must have heard about the core sectors of the economy.
Core sectors, in the sense, eight sectors.
What are the 8 sectors?
Cement, coal, steel, fertilizer, natural gas and petroleum, and electricity is also one of the things.
Yeah, and as you understand, the core sector has electricity in that, and electricity is a prime mover of all the industries and all other related developments, which needless for me to say that you have to concentrate on that, since you are having that academic discipline, and the interview board will be more and more interested in asking you certain questions on that. Okay, so you gather some particulars on the latest areas. So your mother is in the government service?
Yes, sir.
Where is she working now?
She is working right now in Chennai, a special post of DRO for Outer Ring Road land acquisition.
Okay, so we are living in an era where people are talking about specialists versus generalists. You must have heard about that argument or debate between specialists and generalists.
Yes, sir.
There is an increasing pressure from various sectors of the society to have more and more specialists in very many departments. And for instance, the Indian Administrative Service, which is considered to be a generalistic service, is now being looked down upon by many sectors of the society, and within the institution itself there is a lot of opposition for this service to continue. So what is, in your fair and frank opinion, the relevance of a generalistic service in an era where a lot of demand is growing up for specialization in services?
Sir, regarding the Indian Administrative Service, the environment in which the officer has to work will be very dynamic in nature. It is not a constant scenario where an administrative officer will be simply has to look upon only one thing. He'll be put as a head of a district, so he has to look both the aspects of development, law and order scenario and everything. So he must have a knowledge about everything. For such a thing, instead of a specialized person, a generalized person can have a knowledge about knowledge of everything, so he can handle the situation in a much efficient way. So I prefer like specialization requires in various posts, but generalized service is also required to handle a district.
So you mean an all-round view should be taken to foster development that only a generalist can have the ability to do?
Not only a generalist, but a generalist can handle it much more efficiently than a specialist, because the situations will be very dynamic when he administers a full district.
Okay. So since your mom is working as a land acquisition officer, do you really feel that the availability of land or the acquisition of land in our country is posing a stumbling block, or is it that itself is a difficult issue in bringing in developments?
Yes, sir, it is a difficult issue, because when land has been acquired, even the money that has to be given to the owner of the land is taking a number of years for it, and within that the development cost of a particular project is also getting doubled or tripled over the years. So land acquisition is still a tedious process in India.
And are you aware of the latest amendments to the Land Acquisition Act that in your state of Tamil Nadu it has been brought into?
No, sir.
So far the land acquisition was done by the 1894 Act and some other acts which some other departments follow. But usually the 1894 Act, the Land Acquisition Act 1894, is the primary act by which so many processes and procedures were are to be followed, and it was itself a negative factor in bringing in so much of development. That's why the government brought in so many new laws and new amendments. So you please go through that. And since your mother's area is in this particular field, there is a great likelihood that there will be a lot of questions on, basically most of your questions will be coming from your DAF only. Okay. And I understand you did your engineering from a private institution.
Yes, sir.
And the problem in Tamil Nadu generally, as the academicians are pointing out, is the mushrooming growth of private engineering colleges. What, in your view, was it the fault of policy making, or was it something else that you would like to say? Are we producing engineers, or are we producing mere graduates who are calling themselves as engineers?
Sir, here when the different engineering colleges are coming, the only thing is there are only 4 to 5 streams that are present in almost every engineering colleges. The basic engineering streams like electrical, electronics, computer science and information technology. Because the equipments that are required to teach those streams are very simple, so the colleges are able to get the colleges are able to open up very easily. But right now, before 3 years, the central government has decided to block the number of seats to make it a fixed number for all those streams. And right now, very particularized streams are coming. If the colleges are coming focusing on the up-to-date technology like artificial intelligence, robotics, then those colleges will be able to produce a valid engineer. Because when I was doing my engineering before 8 years, whatever I read was very analog. Now everything has become digitized right now. So when the colleges are able to teach the students as well as give them a practical exposure, then the actual engineers will be able to come out. But the scenario right now is pretty bad because according to the data, as the high education qualification goes up, the unemployment rate is also very high. So right now engineering colleges are mushrooming in a very high rate that has to be stopped to an extent.
In your extracurricular activities, I'm seeing some interesting things on watching Korean reality shows.
Yes,
Can you throw some light on that?
Sir, Korean being a very small country, like they have only one language and they do have a very minimum number of channels compared to what we have in our country. So they decide a particular type of show depending on the scenario of their country. Like the favorite show of me is known as Return of the Superman. Korean fertility rate is right now very less, so it's less than 1. So just to increase their fertility rate, the show's concept is the father has to take care of the child from the age of 6 months to 6 years by himself for 3 days continuously. So it motivates fathers also to take care of the children in their country, so mothers can also do their career very well. So all those things, streams are very interesting to me, so I started watching those shows.
Okay, so since you had developed an interest in Korean shows, you must have also developed an interest towards that particular country.
Yes.
Korea, as we know, after the 50s got split up into the north and the south.
Yes.
What was the original reason for the split up of Korea into two?
It's because of the ideology between communalism and capitalism. So the US supported South Korea and communalism point of view supported North Korea. So because of that, they had an ideological issue and they split it.
Okay, and between both the Koreas, we all know, and it is a very general knowledge that South Korea has developed into one of the most advanced countries in the world, whereas North Korea is remaining as North Korea, as we all know. And we all know that North Korea has an iron curtain. Nobody knows what is happening. There is no democracy. There is not even a semblance of freedom, let alone using the words like democracy. And how are you able to understand the information that North Korea is sustaining as a country at all?
Because it's very they are very backward in nature. They are not very much developed, so whatever they produce, they consume within themselves. The government even produce the basic necessities, like even shampoos are produced by the government. They use only one particular kind of shampoos. And even in dressing sense, North Korean peoples are not allowed to go for westernized dresses and everything. even the food habits, everything is decided by the government in North Korea. So there is no need of like export import is not needed much over there. Whatever produced in the country, the government decides what the people has to eat. Makeups products are not allowed in North Korea. Every basic necessities what we have in a very democratic country, in a normal people life, that is not allowed in North Korea. So apart from the defense point of view, North Korea doesn't have the need to depend on some other country, and they do have a very strict policies like punishments for the even if they try to wear some makeup or something, the immediate punishment will be like capital punishments will be given over there. So North Korea was able to sustain it because the leader of the country decided to limit the people's rights over there. So it's still sustaining in the same way. Still,
Okay.
cycles are only used in North Korea by the common people.
You think it can sustain for a long time?
Sir, it depends. The people of the North Korea has to decide over it, whether it can sustain over a long time. If the people still remain silent over there, then it can sustain because of the atomic power that North Korea has developed. So even very powerful countries like US and Russia are not trying to take a stand against North Korea. So I think it depends on.
You think with so much of backwardness and with so much of closed economy and nothing related to modern world kind of advanced technologies and all that, North Korea would have developed a wide variety of nuclear arsenal on their own, or would they have got any other external support?
Sir, I'm not very sure like how, to what extent they do have their knowledge basis, I don't know. Scientists, that details I'm not aware of.
So one more of your hobbies is organic kitchen gardening.
Yes, sir.
How did you develop an interest in this?
Sir, actually, my uncle has an interest in organic farming. So, since my childhood, he motivated me to grow plants in my open space in my house. So, from that, I developed the interest.
What are these species that you are growing? What are the varieties?
Sir, it depends mostly on the seasons. Like, there is mostly I'll grow spinach because that will be very easy just to have the stem. And other things like tomatoes, white pumpkins, all those things I have grown. Right now in my garden I have spinach.
So you don't apply any fertilizer or any inorganic insecticide, you maintain it
No, sir.
organically?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the typical fertilizer that you would apply for your garden?
Typical fertilizer from the kitchen waste, like the tea powders. After using the tea powders and the water that is used for washing the rice, chicken and eggshells, all those things I'll apply. If at all, if I need, I'll buy earthworm manure and then I'll apply it. But that is the last case. Even with this, my plants will grow well.
Okay, so this is in terms of nutritional support.
Yes, sir.
How do you protect these plants from insects and various other pests?
No, sir. For that, I won't do anything. As far as my plants have not got affected that much, because as soon as it grows, we will consume it, and then we will replace it again with some other new plants. So I didn't have the effect of any insects or something.
Have you ever heard about the organic products called as Panchagavya?
Yes, sir.
What is Panchagavya?
Sir, like cow dung and urine and jaggery, and I'm not sure about the other things.
See, if you are into organic kitchen gardening without knowing Panchagavya, how could you aspire for more growth and more yield? Panchagavya is a common ingredient these days.
Okay.
So you learn about Panchagavya, and there is something called as the Navakavya.
Okay, sir.
Navakavya is something related to the pesticide part of organic farming.
Okay, sir.
So organic farming has two components. One is the nutrition component and one is the insecticides or pesticides component. Both has to have a balance. Even in chemical farming also you have to have fertilizers and insecticides and pesticides. Both has to be balanced. So when you are into organic farming without Panchagavya and without Navagavya, you cannot aspire to have a better yield, because always there will be a demand for nutrition and always there will be an attack from the pests. So you learn about all these things, and are you aware of a concept called permaculture?
Permaculture, I'm not able to remember it right now, sir.
So permaculture is what they say: you don't do anything to the soil, you don't do anything to the, you just create a forest kind of plants. You just sow the seeds and multiple seeds, and it should not be a monoculture. Basically, it should not be a monoculture, and everything will be growing on their own, and even you can cultivate whenever you want. And basically, the fruits, when they ripen, they fall to the ground, and from those seeds, new plants will come out, and you'll have to gain. Once if you give some time to this concept of permaculture, many products will keep coming. So you can always depend on that. So you learn about those things. Okay. And what is your interest in walking?
Walking, much more than a physical activity, I see as a me time for me, where I'll able to relieve my stress, and also I'll plan for the day. And mostly my walking time will be early morning. So that fresh air, breathing in the fresh air, all those kinds of things comes for me as walking. Not as I don't see it as a physical activity like for health, fitness. Just to calm my mind and to enjoy the peacefulness, I do early morning walk.
So you go for walking every day?
Almost, yes sir, almost.
How long you will normally go?
45 minutes to 1 hour.
And what is the distance that you will be covering?
5 to 6 kilometers.
Okay. So it would be a brisk walk, or it will be a casual walk?
It depends. Initially for 1 or 2 kilometers I'll do a normal walk, and then I'll go for a brisk walk, and then again I'll end it up with a casual walk.